Be good. Be very good.
I'm trying. But I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is Yaya Diamond with Dream Chasers Radio, and I want to thank you guys for subscribing. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Yes, I'm very long winded because I am a singer, and the next person knows this very well. I'm so excited to get him on the show. I have been trying, and I finally got him. And yes, his name is Paul Dreifuss. He is my ambassador of Kwan because he is also my agent. Of course, Jerry Maguire has to be a part of this some kind of way. And I want to thank him so much for joining us. Paul, thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me on. This is quite a pleasure and an honor.
Oh, the honor is mine. I got you. I got you. I got you. You have an amazing story. I mean, becoming an agent for Alpha. So you own Alpha Artists, am I right?
Correct.
Okay.
And
So
it was named after Moonbase Alpha from
sweet.
television.
That's why you're on the moon base right now, huh?
Yep. Yep.
I love it. I love it.
Exploring space with a whole new attitude.
That's beautiful. That is awesome. So I want to go back a little bit. We're going to go back to the history because I have had to sit through these stories and just with my mouth open, like, you're kidding me. I mean, you have done something for so many amazing people and talent. And I mean, let's go back to the history. Let's start like the whole accidental mailroom. You met people, you did all kinds of stuff. I mean, I got names here. Hold on a second. I got Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, BB King, Four Tops, Ike and Tina. I know I uh, Cindy Lauper. I mean, come on. Aerosmith. My favorite rock band. I mean, there are so many different things. So let's start somewhat from the beginning, but not from birth.
Okay, fair enough. I was lucky enough to apply for a job at Associated Booking and get a job in the mailroom there out of college. And we represented a lot of great jazz artists and some great R&B artists and funk and soul. And was lucky to be teamed with a guy named Prince Gary, who was Louis Armstrong's attendant when Louis was alive. And he shared many stories, ideas, and direction with me. Felt very privileged for that. One time I had to take an envelope to Duke Ellington's estate, and Prince went with me, met his butler, and then I meet Duke Ellington. There's just something about the way Duke dressed, something like an aura around him at that point in time. And I was blown away. And we came back, and I started telling everyone I knew I met Duke Ellington. Another one was when we went to see some of the artists as I was transitioning to becoming an agent there, and seeing BB King play with his eyes closed and creating magic and heartbeat and soul on the stage, just laying back like this and playing. And it touched me a great deal. And just seeing what I consider raw, true energy and soul coming off the stage meant a lot to me. And then I was promoted to agent, and I worked there for 2.5 years. A couple of the guys that I ended up working with branched off and became part of Frontier Booking Agency or Frontier Booking International. And I met a guy named Kenny DiCamillo, who worked in the mailroom at William Morris Agency. And we became good friends. And he continued his career, was considered one of the premier agents in the New York metro area at William Morris. And we were close friends until he passed. Um, one of the, I will tell you, I came out to New Jersey because the club scene out here was becoming huge. They dropped the drinking age to 18, and all of a sudden things exploded. And I got involved with a band that of friends from high school who were one of the top 5 bands in the area called Godspeed. And from that, I met somebody and got involved in the club booking business. And then it transitioned to we need to book some name entertainment. And I reached out to some of my contacts in New York, and we brought in the Ramones initially, um, who were just so fun because they had a stoicness about them. So my job was to think of jokes to make them laugh. But they did many gigs. And then there was a woman named Cindy Lauper. And I remember she was at a club called the Tradewinds in New Jersey. Place is packed, and she's scared to walk out. And I said to her, look at all those people out there. They're just here because they love your music and they love you and they love the message that you share in your music. So take a deep breath and walk out. And she looked at me and she smiled and she killed it and came back after the show and gave me a big hug. And, I was very lucky to be working with so many agents that I knew when we were all young who became very well established. So yeah, there's a place called the Fountain Casino in New Jersey, could hold 1,000 people, and we staged Aerosmith and a whole host of others. We couldn't get Led Zeppelin because they were a little too big at that point in time. But I would say maybe 20 or 25 of the 100 or so artists I worked with through my career were there. And part of my growth was not just to be an agent, but to understand production. What do they really need in their writer related to sound, lighting, hospitality, what that really meant, coordinating travel. What time do you really need to get there? Well, I always told them an hour early because they were always an hour late. And, having the right food there. So when they walked in, at least that wasn't an issue. Having the technicians where we've all talked and talked and talked. So they're very familiar. And I have to say that that aspect of things grew and grew through my friend Tim Drake, who is still an agent in New Jersey and represents Darlene Love and Alberto Santa Rosa. I started producing his Latin entertainment at Milwaukee Summerfest, which was a huge outdoor stage. And one of the secrets that someone had taught me decades before was when you go into a new situation, buy Dunkin' Donuts, bring a couple dozen donuts. So I picked up 6 dozen just to be safe. And security stop one got a dozen donuts. Security stop two got one a box. Audio, stage crew, lighting, everyone got donuts. Well, when we had to go offsite to pick up the artist, coming in, as soon as security saw my car, we were waved through. We had no issues. Any issues that came up were resolved, overspending maybe $60 on donuts. But, it's sort of understanding that you are acknowledging that somebody is worthy. It doesn't matter who they are, it doesn't matter what job they're doing. You want to let them know that you value who they are and what they do. And I will say that through the years, no matter who I've worked with, I've just tried to do that, whether it was a handshake, a hug, telling somebody I really appreciate you, a security guard at a small show in a nightclub. Without that security guard there, who knows what might could happen. When a truck blew a tire, sitting in the parking lot, and we were able to get somebody quickly to come and take care of it, making sure they knew how much I appreciated them. Yes, we gave them a tip, but also letting them know because who knows when the next time would be, and we want them to come. So I will say that I've been blessed to have had the career I had, and yet I will say that the person to person experience is something that 4 or 5 mentors had taught me through the years, and something that I hope I teach people going forward and in my recent past. That, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what your job is, it doesn't matter where we're at, you know, um, treat someone with respect and you never know what might happen.
So true, so true. I absolutely love working with you. The
Same here.
past few years have been the highlight of my professional career. You always are for the right thing. Um, I just I don't want to give you up.
Well, it's a
So
two-way street. I have to say, you know, getting my license and working in Florida for a number of years, when we first began to work together through another company, I really appreciated your candor, your attention to detail, your willingness to listen and have a conversation. And then when you would perform and someone would call in and say, wow, they were great. I want her back. I want the band back. I can't tell you how many complimentary things people said. That's half the battle, too. You know, your audience defines who you are to a great extent. So it made it a lot easier, I think, for me to say, Yaya Diamond and the Dream Chasers have something really going for them. And I don't know if you remember when we showcased you in front of
yeah.
about 50 lifestyle directors, and you went around and got virtually everyone in that place up dancing, and they never forgot that.
Yeah, I know. It was so much
And
fun.
that's as much you. I mean, you know, it. There are many different artists. Not all of them understand what it's like to set the stage, do your job professionally, but interact with people so that they talk about you, so
Mhm.
that they appreciate who you are and what you've accomplished. Um, and I use the term soul a lot. It just means the soul inside us. Um, I had the privilege of meeting Darlene Love through my friend Tim, and I had left various comments on her site. And then when she realized who I was, she goes, honey, you just have some kind of heart and soul about you. I said, well, I feel that you have a heart and soul that's twice the size, because whenever her songs start, everyone in the audience knows them and starts singing along with them, and they smile and they're having a great time. And that is actually transitioned to when you perform. You know, when I come to see you perform, I don't let people know who I am. And the heart and soul that you share, the professionalism of the band, the funk in the band, the joy that they share by playing their music. You know, some people can play and just kind of play like this, and some people can play and smile because they're loving the fact that they're being loved by their audience.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you bring to the table in your own way.
You.
You're welcome.
You know, I have to say that there are just so many different opportunities that have come your way that you've passed on. You know, there's so many artists out there that are looking to get with other, with agents, with people. Do they what do they need? What are agents, or even, just as an agent, what are agents really truly looking for in a talent?
Well, I think part of it is consistency, you know, enough professionalism to know that if the gig starts at 7, you've got traffic getting there. Maybe it's a half hour away, or maybe it's 2 hours away. To set up that you're going to be there at a certain time and you actually show up at that time. That there are no complaints about drinking, drugs, attitude with the audience. You know, it's not saying that there might not be some snotty or tude people in the audience, and you don't need to bow down to them. But at the same point in time, most of the time, I find that a good artist, a good performer, will not create that in the audience. People maybe had a bad day, but it all disappears when they're up dancing or smiling or bopping to the music. But I think one of the most important things is that consistency. Before I talk to an artist who, you know, asks me for representation, I'll go see them 3 or 4 times in different locations, because I want to make sure that I see and feel and hear the consistency that comes through. And so many times it's not there. Every once in a while, I see that there's a different drummer or a different guitar player, a different keyboard player, whatever it may be, and the feel's not the same. And you know, I know there are a number of artists that have been upset with me because I'll say, hey, no, it's just not happening. If you really want to know, I'll tell you. And I tell them, and they come up with, well, we can do this, we can do that. Listen, let's revisit this 6 months from now.
Mhm.
Um, because I'm not an agent who's in the business that I have to earn a living from this now. Thankfully, I was very successful in what I did. And as a Social Security recipient, as well as receiving past benefits. I don't do this to make a living per se. Um, I do this for fun. I do this for joy, and I do this hopefully to give something back. And along the way, yeah, I'll make some money,
Mhm.
um, but I'm not. It's not my motivation. The first mentor I had in the New Jersey club scene basically lit up, and then we're talking 1976, lit up $100 bill in 1976 on fire and let it burn. And I'm looking at him with eyes wide, and he says, this isn't your motivation. You never work for this.
Mhm.
He said, you do the best you can do, and it'll come to you.
Yeah.
And I mean, truer words were never said.
You know what? I agree with you. I totally agree with you. And I've seen that demonstration done before. I always say money is fake, time is real.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
heart, you know.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
And
Definitely
I'll
hard.
say, Yaya, um, I think part of us working together has come because we trust each other. And I'll say that through the decades, once I earned an artist's trust and was able to maintain that because I'm not a fake person. I'm not here to impress people. I'm just here to do as good a job as can be done. And we
Mhm.
run into problems along the way. We run into unexpected issues, and we work as a team to resolve them as
Yeah.
positive as possible. But I think a lot of that has to do with who you are, being sage, having the background that you've had and the experience and example that you've had in your life with your mom and your family, and having met your husband and your daughter. I think you're very special in that way too.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I miss my mom. She was she did her best to kind of rear me up in the right way, but at the very end it was heartbreaking for me to see her go
Sure,
through what she went through, but
sure.
at least she's no longer suffering like that anymore.
Right.
And she taught me enough to get me through, you know. But how would they say, how do they say it? If you could have anyone back for just a day, who would it be and what would you do? And I think that I would be clinging to her for the entire 24 hours. Just until she disappeared again, and then I would probably be okay after that. Just to get,
Sure.
there's things that you don't realize you need to say. But at the same time, it's like it's the same thing with everything, isn't it? You
Yeah.
know, you have a business, you have a life, you have family members, you have all kinds of different things, and you do have to be careful who you're hooking up with in your life to move forward. Um, but the whole purpose of bringing you on here today is to teach people about, the agent's perspective of what the agent is looking at when they see an artist. Because I want to make sure that, we're not delusioned. It's
Okay.
not that you're not good. It's just that you just don't have everything right now. And it's not a turn down when they say, I want to revisit you in 3 months. I want to revisit you in 6 months. I think that's a compliment because they see it, but it's just not all there just yet.
And
Am I
I will take this back a step
wrong?
to previous lives of when I was an agent working for a company. I worked for a speakers bureau. Max Weinberg was one of our representatives, and we had a blast talking about New Jersey and rock and roll. But I needed to understand, as did everyone else, what he went through what caused him to write his book about coming back and using that as motivation going forward so we could tell people why he's really there to speak.
Mhm.
Um, you know, Aerosmith coming in and performing blew everyone away, but they went on stage feeling really good. Um, I would say that their agent, and when I represented other artists like that, our jobs are to make sure the details are as good as possible. You know, the idea that whether you're going to do a Live Nation tour these days or you're just going to do a small performing arts center tour or a club tour, negotiating goes into it. Well, you know, again, if all the details are there, all the support is there, maybe the money's not quite as important this time because you're investing in the future. But
Mhm.
I think most agents, I think, have their artists' best interests. It's just some of them become motivated by the money.
Mhm.
And, you know, when I was at Premier Talent, real quick story, I'm in college. Premier's the agency representing British acts.
Mhm.
So I'm there in June. And I call up and ask, say, I'm Paul Dreifuss from the University of Tennessee. And they said, we'll switch you to Mike Martineau's office. And I hung up. And I called every Monday. And one Monday they said, oh, I'm sorry, Mike's on vacation. So the next day I put on a suit and I went in and said, hi, I have an appointment to see Mike Martineau. They said, oh, he's on vacation. I said, oh, God, I drove all the way up from the University of Tennessee. I must have the wrong week. So lucky for me, they introduced me to a guy named Sean LaRoche, who became a very good friend. And then I spent 4 days in different offices. And on the following Monday, I get a call from Sean saying somebody wants to talk to you. And it's Mike Martineau going, who the heck are you? So I told them what I did, and they got such a laugh and kick. I spent the summer there. Um, so, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, creating a grand scheme is necessarily the right thing to do, but don't be afraid to go with your passion. And I think a lot of the agents that I had dealt with and still deal with today from a buying point of view um, really want the best thing for their artists.
Yeah.
They may be tough, and sometimes they'll say, okay, look, if you do ABC, we can cut back on the guarantee.
Mhm.
Come up with another date, we'll cut back on the guarantee. So I think an agent is always trying to look out for the best result for their artist.
Mhm.
And hopefully most of them do so.
Yeah, I hope so too. I'm just blessed to find you.
It's a
So
two-way
I don't know about anybody else,
it's
but
a
I'm just
two-way
blessed.
cloud,
Thank
two-way
you.
cloud.
Yeah, and it's just such a blessing to literally talk with you, to literally work with you, to see that you do have the best interest for your artists at heart, and that you're honest, and that everything that you send out, if we want to see it, you send it to us. It's
Right,
not a big deal because it's transparency. I think that we can go further when we have full transparency than when we have these little things and innuendos in the back that we can't show anybody. You know what I
right,
mean?
right, right.
So wow. What kind of advice do you give to musicians, artists, bands who are looking for an agent? Even if it's not just you, what would be the one thing that you would tell them that they have to have in order for them to even entice an agent to want to actually come out to a gig to sign them?
Okay, good question. I would think a 1 to 2 minute video of 2 to 4 songs that really, really show not just the musical capability, but the entertainment aspect of it. You know, it's easy. Paul Simon's going out on tour. Well, you know, Paul Simon doesn't have to entertain per se. I'm sure he'll share some stories, but he's established. But thinking back to when Simon and Garfunkel were first playing around clubs in New York City, and you know, they needed to communicate with their audience. And I think if you're going to send video, which is the best way to introduce yourself to an agent, you don't want to overload them with just one song. You want to pick, 30 seconds of songs, and you want to show a little bit different side of yourself in each one. And before you make that decision, run it by your friends, because, it's not what you think so much, it's what they think that comes back at you that makes it real.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Paul. Did we miss anything? Would you like to say anything else today?
Yeah, the only thing I like to say is that this is a privilege for me. I've never done this before, and to share this with you is an honor. It really is. And let's just say that I hope more agents and artists can develop the same kind of relationship we have, which is truth, honesty, heart, and soul,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
trust.
Moment looking for new artists.
Well, I mean, honestly, I always am in Florida, but I have to say I'm very, very particular. I know a couple of other agents who represent maybe 20, 30, 40 different people at different times. Um, some of the artists that I work with might work 12 times a year. I know they need to work a lot more, but I don't represent anyone exclusively for that purpose. And I will help them. I'll give them a reference. Um, I will give them some ideas, but I just think it's really, when I say excellence in entertainment, it's entertainment, and entertainment isn't necessarily just music.
Thank you so much for being on the show and for allowing me to be the first podcast you've ever been on. Yay. I want to thank you. Yes. Thank you. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to have that information about Paul. And if you are a Florida band, then you should be going ahead and trying to get in contact with him. Don't forget, if you've missed any of this, you want to go back because he's kind of giving you the reason why he's going to be looking at you in the first place. And hey, if you don't have it right now, he says, listen, we're going to revisit this in 6 months. He actually does like you. He just thinks that you're missing a couple of things. Work on that and then come back after 6 months. And Paul is an amazing person and agent. You're going to love working with him. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to Dare to
Thank
Be
you.
Different. And Paul,
Yes.
thank you. And
Thank
don't you
you,
go nowhere.
everybody.
Hold on a second. Don't go nowhere. You guys can leave, but Paul cannot.
Okay.
All right. Until next time, guys, don't forget to Dare to Be Different. Bye. Thank you for watching.